Good morning, children. Welcome back to the social session. Children, for the past few days from now, we are learning about agriculture in India. So, we have seen the progress of agriculture in three phases. In the first phase, the construction of the irrigational projects we have seen, and in the second phase from 1966 to 1990, the introduction of the HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers and pesticides we have seen, and we are about to see the third phase. So, under the second phase itself, we were trying to understand about the environmental effects of these HYV seeds and chemical fertilizers and pesticides being used heavily on the Indian agriculture. So, we have seen that Green Revolution has brought several environmental problems and imbalances as mentioned earlier. It was first introduced in the northern states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, parts of Uttar Pradesh. We shall study about the environmental problems faced by these areas in later classes, children. But remember, there are many water problems which took place due to the excessive usage of these factors. In these states, most farmers have shifted to the cultivation of HYV seeds, that is, high yielding variety seeds were introduced of rice and wheat, of rice crop and wheat crop, which require plenty of water. So, the main source of irrigation in these states is the tube wells. So, they kept on drawing a large amount of underground water. As the number of tube wells increased over the years, the groundwater level has rapidly fell down. Groundwater level maintained for long as the use of groundwater is less than the groundwater recharge. Groundwater recharge is a natural process through which it happens each year through rainfall or the flows of canals and streams. The groundwater gets recharged. But in all these years, the recharge was more and the usage was less. But the problem started when the groundwater through the tube wells is more than the groundwater recharge. In other words, water is used up in more than what flows into the underground water pool. As a result of that, there is a decline in the underground water level. So, the level of the underground water fell very drastically, rapidly, and a fall in the underground water or groundwater level would mean that less groundwater is available for the future use, and that may also lead to many kinds of situations, even drought and even earthquakes occur if there is no groundwater. This problem of falling groundwater is faced by 10 out of 12 districts of Punjab, 9 out of 12 districts in Haryana, and experts fear that agriculture in Punjab could be in danger due to the environmental damage over the past 3 decades, that is excessive usage of the groundwater. And if you look at the fertilizer problem also, manure and compost contain humus and living organisms that slowly release the minerals as they keep on decomposing. That is a natural way which for ages immemorial, since the finding of agriculture or since the discovery of agriculture, we have been using the humus and the natural manure. But chemical fertilizers provide the minerals, usually nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, which dissolve in water and are immediately available to the plants. As they are immediately available, they may not get retained by the soil for a longer time because they flow through the water, and they may be leached from the soil and pollute the groundwater because they keep on percolating, and once they mix up with these fertilizer, the chemicals, they keep on polluting even the groundwater. And due to which not only the groundwater, the lakes, the streams and the rivers also got polluted because of the excessive usage of the chemical fertilizers. So, the chemical fertilizer as well as pesticides which kill the pests, the insects, small insects and other organisms in the soil, we keep on spraying, and this keeps on retained on the soil, and when it watered, the water gets percolated into the underground, or the water through the surface flowing joins into the lakes and the rivers, which pollutes them. So, without this means that after some time of repeated use of these chemicals and fertilizers, the soil will be less fertile than even before because it leaves away all the fertility, and without microorganisms, the soil will be dependent on frequent addition of more and more chemical fertilizers. The variety of nutrients which are normally produced by the microorganisms may not be may be reduced and may not produce that natural nutrients in the soil, and thus in many years the green revolution has actually resulted in the loss of fertility and even increasing cost to the farmers. Of course, for the time being, there was an increase in the food production, but in the long run, it may lose the soil fertility. Environmental resources like soil fertility and groundwater are built up over many and many years, and once destroyed, it will be very difficult for us to rebuild them or to restore them. Similarly, environmental imbalances are being faced by other regions with a large scale HYV seeds being used, given that agriculture is a heavily dependent on natural resources. Now, how do we take care of the environment to ensure future development of the agriculture? If this is the thing which continues unchecked even now, then there will be a serious environmental imbalance. And how do we promote agriculture in the future generations? This will be a complex question which is currently being debated by the agricultural research teams. So let us find a solution, and of course there is also a consciousness to people are moving towards organic agriculture now, and there are many states which have banned the usage of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Coming to the third phase of the agricultural development, that is a post reform of the agriculture. From 1967 to 1991, Indian farmers sold their produce to markets within the country, and the development and the government through FCI, it used to procure the food grains between this period. People were also dependent on markets within the country for their food purchases, and foreign trade in most of the agricultural products was not even allowed. Export of most farm products especially food grains was banned, and imports were also not allowed in the food grains. It was only the government that had the right to import from these products in case of any scarcity of the food grains within the country. But the farmers doesn't have the right to sell their products to the foreign countries. We also have seen that government supported farmers through the supply of cheap farm inputs or through by offering the farm products on loans at a minimum support price is also another important incentive given by the government. Thus, the Indian farmers produced only for the markets within the country and required government support to earn a reasonable income and from farming. But this was not achieved in all these years. If you look at the foreign trade in farm products now, after the 1991, after the Indian government or the Indian economy got liberalized, the government took many preventive protective measures for the agricultural prior to 1991. However, there has been a significant change in the agricultural policy in India. Farm producers are being exported and being imported into India more than the past now, and changes in farm trade policy are not taking place in India alone. Many developing countries in Asia, Africa, South America have made similar changes in their agricultural policy, in their farm policy. So this is because developed countries are putting pressure on them to allow the foreign trade. So these developed countries want to sell their produce, their surplus produce in developing countries that have a large number of buyers and a large number of population. So with a foreign trade policy or foreign agricultural policy, many crops are being traded now. And for instance, farmers can now export vegetables and fruits, sugar and jaggery. Similarly, they can import cotton, rubber, pulses, oil seeds are freely allowed between the countries today. However, farmers cannot export the food grains like wheat and paddy since food grains are the most important food item, and the Indian government has been cautious to allow the trade in food grains because that may result in the hike in the prices in the local market. Only the government can do so if it wishes, and that depends upon whether the situation in the country has a bad harvest or a good harvest. If you look at the developed countries have, however, constantly putting pressure on India to allow the greater imports of the crops produced in their countries. Foreign trade could cause farmers in India to fluctuate the prices. In certain years, for certain crops, the farmers might gain from exports. But in other years, farmers also could lose because of the cheap imports and fall in the prices of the farm products. So small farmers without big savings will not be able to bear this loss. This will get caught them into the debt trap, and they become more poor, and it may result in the elimination of the farmers. So the government has to be very careful in this regard to allow the trade in the farmer products. So why does the government buy food grains from the farmers? Let us see in the next class. This is the end of the lesson, children, and you need to complete the fair notes of this lesson. Thank you, children.